So I was mentioning yesterday about my Baba, my father's mother, and because of that, I decided to pull out some of her stuff that I have that's hers. My Baba was born in 1896, and she was in her 70s. She would have been around 72 or 73 years older than me. She was in her 70s when I was born. So it's amazing to have these pieces from her because they're probably from the early 1900s. So this is a little tablecloth cover. It's obviously well worn, well used. There's lots of wear on this side. But the work is really lovely. Like if you are able to see, you can see the corners were created with real care. This would have been handmade, this lace. This is her stitch work. That's, the good side. That's the underside. It's all quite neat and tidy. Lovely. This is a piece that is made out of several pieces of really thin cloth. So I'm assuming that this is some of the cloth that may have been used for, actually I think it's linen. Yeah, it is. With more refined stitch work. But you can still see all the handwork. And somebody at some point was trying to do a few fixes, which you can see in different places on the piece. This is a piece that would have probably been made out of the cloth out of a sack, and she didn't have quite enough to do the full length. So she had taken another piece and created a seam down one side, but again, like, all the stitch work, especially around the edging. I think this would have been one of her daughter's pieces because the kind of stitch work, the style is different. So she would have been teaching some of my aunts to do some sewing. And again, this one's been well loved, well used, because in this little place right here, there's some darning that was done to mend a hole. This one, when somebody had done this, had spent quite a bit of time. This is either my grandmother or one of the girls had spent quite a bit of time on the embroidery and on the lace work around the edges. But at some point, some of that got worn down, and if I can find it, here. Somebody tried to repair it probably later on, and they used a different color of thread for the lace, so it's a darker color. So it's really interesting. You can also see lots of layers of history in a piece. And this is perhaps one of my most favorite because I always remember her wearing aprons. My Baba wore aprons all the time in the kitchen. So this is one of her aprons that, again, she spent a lot of time putting the embroidery work on. People cared for their things and embellished their things, and it's not like they had a lot of time to do those kinds of tasks, but she found time, or she made time. So it's one of the things that I'm trying to carry on. I have a dress that I've made for myself, and I can't show you the full dress, but this is made out of 2 different fabrics that were repurposed from what do you call them? Duvets, bed covers. And then this has been eco-printed, and I've hand sewn and also used a machine to sew this. And I got the pattern from an old Slavic style of dress, long dress. So this goes actually down to the ground. And I'm working on an embroidery piece, which I should finish up probably in the next day. There's something about having pieces that we've made. I mean, I made this little top here, that not the black part, but the cream colored part. Even making little talismans that I like to wear. there's something about having handmade things, especially things that you have an association with, for example, stuff that was passed on in my family. But even if you don't have an association with it, if you can learn to appreciate the handwork, if you can learn to recognize, the different stitches that went into it, and even the layers of history in it, when you can see that something's been repaired, and maybe has multiple repairs, people cared. They cared about their things. They took the time um, to make them pretty, aesthetic, and you can feel the energy that goes into it. You can really feel the love that goes into it, the time, the care, the attention. So if you take time to mend a pair of jeans, put on a patch, do some visible mending, um, you might notice that you start to have a different association for those jeans. They might have a different feeling for you, even more comfortable, even more loved, because you've taken time to make them special, unique to you.